Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
An Uber driver brutally attacked. We're now hearing from the Good Samaritan who helped save his life.
A pursuit of a reported stolen car ends in a multi-car crash and 4 people taken into custody.
And authorities search for a vicious robber who follows women into elevators and attacks them. Good evening, I'm Ellen Leyva in for Colleen Sullivan.
And I'm David Ono. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Los Angeles police are asking the public to help track down a violent robber caught on surveillance camera. Detectives think the same suspect is responsible for committing at least 4 violent robberies against women in the Midtown area. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson is live at police headquarters in downtown LA with a surveillance video and the latest on the investigation. Alex?
David, we just talked to a spokesperson for the LAPD. He says that this video is hard to look at even for veteran officers, but he says that it's important for everybody to look at because they want the public's help to catch a criminal. Take a look at the video. You can see that a woman is walking into her apartment in Koreatown carrying packages and headed towards the elevator. A male Hispanic in a hoodie walks in behind her and attacks. He fights for the package. The woman holds on to it, but he eventually is able to get away with it, leaving the woman on the floor. The LAPD says there were 4 separate incidents in Koreatown in November and December. In all the incidents, the suspect follows a lone female into her apartment, punches her, and takes her belongings. Police believe it's the same man involved in all the robberies and say he's getting more and more brazen.
That's what's concerning to us, is that the 3rd one involved sexual battery. The 4th one involved a sharp weapon that was threatened to the neck of the victim. And that's why we want this person in custody right now.
Taking another look at the suspect, police say he's a 20 to 30-year-old Hispanic male, around 5'6" to 5'8". And he often wears this hoodie and shorts. If you have any information that can help investigators, you're urged to contact the LAPD. The number on your screen, 1-877-LAPD 24/7. Reporting live from police headquarters in downtown Los Angeles, Alex Michelson, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Alex. And now to the attack on an Uber driver after he picked up 2 men on New Year's Eve. After dropping them off, he says the men attacked and seriously injured him. He spoke to Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez about his horrific experience.
Uber driver Gilbert Wilburn says 2 drunken Uber riders held him down, choked him, broke his jaw, and that's not all.
At one point, I blacked out. I didn't remember anything. When I came through, he was actually on me.
He had picked them up on New Year's, was taking them home, and then learned en route they had misidentified themselves as the riders who had summoned him. As a good deed, he says, he told them that he would take them home anyway. He says he was helping the drunker of the 2 get out of the car when he was pushed from behind. Then came the attack.
I couldn't move, and I'm yelling and yelling.
But with his injured jaw, he couldn't even call 911. Good Samaritans in the Signal Hill neighborhood rushed to his aid, scaring off the 2 riders. The witnesses didn't want to go on camera.
I don't know what would have happened if nobody had called the police. That would have been pretty bad.
What distresses the witnesses, as well as Wilburn and his wife, the 2 riders were quickly found by officers, but there was no arrest. Why? That broken jaw, for one. Wilburn could not explain what had happened to police. That makes the investigation more complex. Investigators need hard evidence of what happened on a dark corner that night.
We want to do a fair and full investigation and not leave stones unturned that will ultimately result in this case maybe not being prosecuted.
Wilburn says robbery was definitely not a motive. He says he was carrying no cash, and the value of the ride he gave was all of $6. While frustrated, Wilburn's wife says she's grateful to the Good Samaritan.
When he was waiting for the police, she held him and told him it was going to be okay. And she didn't need to stay. She held him.
Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A high-speed chase of a stolen car ends in a multi-car crash and 4 people in custody. Authorities say the chase began in Santa Clarita Valley when a CHP officer on the southbound 14 near Agua Dulce spotted a stolen white Dodge Charger. Officials said the car got up to 125 miles an hour before moving to residential streets at San Fernando and Silmar. The driver in the stolen car ran a red light, hit another car before plowing through a fence.
He was probably at least 80 miles an hour. At that time, I was getting ready to discontinue the pursuit due to I saw some people on the side of the road. And at that time, he was about 2 blocks ahead of me here at Hubbard. I saw that it looked like he was taking a right turn. As I came up in the intersection, I noticed that he had crashed into another vehicle
passed the red light, and I was in the green line, so I hit him because when I saw the car, they was real close to me, so I cannot have a chance to stop the car.
Authorities arrested 2 men and 2 women who were in the stolen car but ran after the accident. They face charges including grand theft auto and receiving stolen property. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to the capture and conviction of the man who kidnapped and killed a 3-week-old girl. On Saturday, someone kidnapped Eliza De La Cruz from her Long Beach home. Her body found a day later in a garbage dumpster in San Diego County. It happened after a gunman shot and wounded the baby's parents and uncle. Detectives have few leads.
Now at Canoga Park, where police are investigating reports from several women who say they were groped yesterday on a bike path. We were tipped off to the story by an Eyewitness News viewer on our Facebook page. Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia has the latest on the search for the suspect.
That's horrible. That's horrible. I'm scared for myself.
Elizabeth Murillo and I are standing where one of the women was grabbed by a bicyclist last night. Police say 2 women were groped by a man along the Canoga Avenue bike path between Van Owen Street and Roscoe Boulevard. Another woman was groped at the intersection of Owensmouth Avenue and Santa Cruz Street. All 3 incidents happened during a 2-hour period right after sundown. All of the women were grabbed on their backside.
So it's kind of scary. You never know what can happen. It could get worse if they don't catch him.
The lead detective in the investigation told me they don't have much of a description of the suspect. It was dark, and he was riding away. The women didn't get a good look at him.
I think he's bored, to tell you the truth. I think he's probably just bored and playing around. But sometimes, yeah, that could get dangerous at a time, you know, but it depends what kind of attention you give him also.
It's bad. I mean, anytime somebody touches you when you don't want to be touched, you know, who's in that?
Police say no one was hurt, but if you have any information on the suspect they're looking for, you're urged to give them a call at the toll-free number you see on your screen. It's 877-LAPD 24/7. Reporting from Canoga Park, I'm Sid Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Zsa Zsa Gabor's daughter, Francesca Hilton, has died at the age of 67. According to her publicist, Hilton and her fiancé were eating at Norm's on La Cienega last night when she had to be rushed to the hospital. She's believed to have suffered a heart attack and stroke. Hilton was the daughter of Gabor and hotel magnate Conrad Hilton. In recent years, she had been at odds with Gabor's current husband, Prince Frederick von Anhalt, over Gabor's finances. Van Anhalt says, given Gabor's own fragile health, he is not going to tell her about her daughter's death.
I know my wife would be hysterical. She would get a heart attack on the spot if I tell her her daughter passed away, and it's not going to happen.
Over the years, Hilton had worked variously as an actress, a photographer, and a publicist.
An LAPD officer accused of exposing himself to several women and a 12-year-old girl in Huntington Beach has pleaded not guilty to the charges. 33-year-old Ryan Gallagher is charged with lewd acts and indecent exposure. Victims were jogging or walking near the Bolsa Chica wetlands when the crimes took place. Gallagher lives in Huntington Beach. He is free on a $100,000 bail and is due back in court next month.
Elderly woman is beaten during a home invasion robbery in the Riverside County community of Mead Valley. Neighbors are alarmed, and now they are taking action, as we find out from Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan.
It was a quiet morning in this rural part of Riverside County known as Mead Valley. It wasn't so quiet, though, late Sunday night.
To be honest with you, I was horrified.
Lori Sizemore lives right next door to where it all happened. Police say 3 guys, one armed with a gun, broke into this home, forcing their way into the front door, and then pistol whipped and tied up the 65-year-old woman who lived there while they robbed the place.
Everybody's locking the doors. Everybody's nervous.
The victim has some pretty bad wounds, but police say she's going to be okay.
I believe that she must have been cased or targeted. That's just my personal opinion. So someone must have been out here looking.
Detectives say that from the street, you really can't see much of what's going on at this home. And neighbors say after what happened out here, they're talking about doing a lot of things differently.
It's a constant reminder of lighting up the house really well. Many of us do have dogs that make that initial alert.
Neighbors are talking about ramping up their neighborhood watch and sharing cell phone numbers with each other. They're on edge. especially knowing the robbers are still at large.
I was paranoid. I had to go back in and do dishes, and I was just constantly going back and forth, making sure nobody was out there.
People are talking about running out and buying guns and taking lessons on how to use them. And this was a neighborhood we never locked our doors. We never had to.
And police say the description of the guys who broke in is really too vague to be of any use. We are told that neighbors are going to be having a special neighborhood watch meeting out here because of all of this tomorrow night. In Mead Valley, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Figures released today show Californians are doing slightly better on conserving water during the drought. The state says we cut our overall water use by nearly 10% in November compared to the previous year. Governor Brown has asked Californians to cut their use by 20%, so we're not quite where we need to be just yet, but we are getting closer.
Well, we need some rain. We didn't get it. We did have a beautiful day with some very warm temperatures. Here's Jonathan Novak.
It's kind of like a love-hate forecast, you know? I feel almost bad that we have temps like this in January, but it feels really nice at the same time. We had record temps, in fact. UCLA, Burbank, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, all in the lower to mid-80s, as well as Camarillo. In fact, I saw 88 in Santa Ana today for a high temperature, which was not a record, but there you go. It was really warm. 70 still in Van Nuys. Some light winds, 5 miles an hour. It's not going to last forever. We need rain. We're not going to be looking at any in the short term. We're going to be looking at more of this. Temperatures well above average. We're still in the 70s in Santa Clarita. Of course, like I showed you, Van Nuys in the 60s elsewhere. We have another day of above average temperatures tomorrow. I'll tell you how long it lasts and if there's rain in that 7 day coming up in a few.
Jonathan, thank you. And still ahead, a wild truck chase caught on dash camera.
But wait until you see why the person behind the wheel caught officers off guard.
Future of electronics is on display in Las Vegas. From the fun to the practical, we'll show you the new technology that could soon drive our lives.
And the young boys playing with a girl, they're happy to do what the person behind the camera says until his final request. That story coming up.
Caught on camera, a sheriff in South Carolina arrested for DUI. Dash cam video from a Hanahan police officer captures Berkeley County Sheriff Wayne DeWitt driving in and out of lanes. The officer says DeWitt was driving more than 100 miles an hour and nearly lost control his truck several times. When he was pulled over, police say DeWitt smelled of alcohol and saw a bottle of vodka in his vehicle.
Put the car in park. Put the car in park. Step on the brakes.
Troopers eventually got DeWitt out of his truck and he failed a field sobriety test. He was arrested and charged with DUI and leaving the scene of an accident. DeWitt apologized for what happened and his behavior.
A story about a social experiment in boys treating girls with respect has reached some 4 million people on our Facebook page in just 24 hours. Take a look.
No.
No. No. No.
The kids are Italian, but in Italian or English, no means no when it comes to violence. In the experiment, the boys are introduced to a young girl. When asked to caress her, they gently stroke her cheek or shoulder. When asked to make a funny face to her, they oblige. But when asked to slap her, they all refuse. Then they were asked why.
Perché le femmine giovano età? Perché le femmine non si picchiano. Perché così si fa male. Perché se anche le donne non si devono toccare nemmeno con un fiore.
That last little guy is quite the charmer. The media company that created the video says it hoped to show how children react to a suggestion of violence against women.
And that little kid saying, "I'm a man." I love that.
Great.
It's really nice.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And the flower, I've never seen poetic. It's even. It's like
right?
Maybe it's the accent. All right. Hey, we had some warmth. I mean, we neared 90 degrees today in Fullerton. Can you believe that?
No.
I can't. It takes me time. It took me about 10 minutes before just to ingest that mentally, because we have temperatures again tomorrow that are going to look like this. Can you believe it? 88 in Fullerton, 86 in both Ventura and Yorba Linda, and San Gabriel hit 87. These temperatures, well, about 20 degrees above average. 20 degrees. That is just a huge deviation from where we should be. It feels nice. It's nice to call back in the East Coast, is where I'm from, and say, hey, it's 85 degrees, 84, but it's really not what we need. We need some rain, we need some winter weather, and it's just unfortunately not in the forecast. We're in the 60s, pretty much anywhere you look right now, even some 70s in some spots. Downtown's at 66, calm winds. It's really pleasant tonight. Check it out, still 70 Van Nuys. We've dropped down to 69 Santa Clarita, 59 Riverside, even Big Bear's hanging on to the temperatures at when the area around Big Bear, a little bit above freezing. Where the really cold air is the rest of the country, from the Plain States all the way to the East Coast. You see this dip in these clouds here, and also the snow that's developing. This is a dip in the jet stream, a trough, and this is going to be digging in, bringing very cold Canadian air. In the Dakotas tonight, wind chill warning, minus 40 to 50. Minus 40 to 50 is what it will feel like in the Dakotas overnight, and that kind of weather for the rest of the country is what's expected. In the meantime, the opposite is happening here, as is the case with weather. We have high pressure in control, this big ridge right here, this arc of high pressure keeping most of the clouds away and keeping temperatures way above average. How long does this pattern last? At least another day or two. Watch here in the future scan. This is that ridge right here, that high pressure ridge on Wednesday, still over us. So another day tomorrow, very similar, except we might have some high clouds streaming on in at the worst. Thursday, things start to change a bit. We weaken that high pressure. We start bringing this trough to the eastern Pacific, and that is going to bring an onshore flow. See how that arc just flattens out? That means we're going to get more of those winds coming in off the ocean. We'll start to cool things off a little bit heading into the later part of the forecast. But in the meantime, look at this. 51 Anaheim overnight, 55 Los Angeles. It's about 8 degrees or so above average. 48 in Northridge and 49 Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley. Here we go once again. 80 Los Angeles tomorrow and Simi Valley. Get 83 in Fillmore. Another, it's a warm, really warm day, even hot, bordering on hot. 83 Ontario. You've got 65 in the Antelope Valley. It's just incredible. Let's check out that 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County. You see about to one day, and then maybe even Thursday, getting close to 80. I don't think we'll quite get there. Then we finally get knocked back closer to average on Friday. But the whole forecast is either at or well above average. Don't look for any big cool downs. At least not right now in this 7-day. Valley.E, 80s tomorrow, upper 70s the day after, and then you're getting closer to average from Friday on. The beaches, fantastic stuff. A few high clouds, and then more clouds building in as you head to the weekend here, getting into the lower 60s. And the mountains, unfortunately, we have some mild weather again tomorrow. I know we need the cold stuff and we need the snow, but we got the whole 7-day ahead with none of that. Just warmer weather for tomorrow, and then back into the 40s by Tuesday, Wednesday. The high desert, 60s throughout. Look at that, 64 tomorrow. And the coolest you get is 60 on Sunday. Warm weather ahead. Enjoy it, I guess, since we've don't have the winter weather anywhere in sight.
Yeah, we're very lucky. Jonathan, thank you.
Yep.
Consumer Electronics Show got underway today in Las Vegas with some of the world's largest electronics companies showing off their latest gadgets.
And our own consumer specialist Rick Romero takes a look at some of the new fun devices unveiled there.
One hot innovation might be this, the Ford Mustang simulator that gives you both a virtual and actual driving experience.
It was amazing. Completely realistic, everything, the feel from the G-force to the braking, everything was amazing.
Or this year's hot idea just might be this driverless Audi SUV with radar technology called LiDAR from Delphi. Here's why.
What sets this vehicle apart from others that you've probably seen that are being displayed or demonstrated is that this vehicle is actually being taken out onto the roads of Las Vegas at CES and is able to manage pedestrians, real complex driving scenarios that you would often find in urban settings.
You could also add Panasonic's high-tech version of the airline passenger seat to top innovations. This is the first smart connected airplane seat. Using your own device, you can get live television, you can access the internet, you can get your emails, and you pay for it all using Apple Pay. Televisions are no longer a first, but Sony does have the thinnest 4K TV ever at 3 credit cards thick, and Samsung has the SUHD TV with brighter whites and blacker blacks than any of those models made before. How often do you try to reach customer support and you can hardly get through? Well, how about an actual live chat with customer support and see them too? Sonia, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing today?
Excellent. You're with Canon, so what's the most asked question?
The most asked question is, can I print from my phone with this printer?
And can you?
You sure can, depending on your model.
This is Rick Romero, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's television.
That's amazing.
Yeah, blows me away. A big step forward for high-speed rail in California.
Coming up, the groundbreaking for the nation's first high-speed train gets underway, but opponents vow to fight it every step of the way.
And a warning from fire and safety officials. Don't let this happen to your home. This fire blamed on a Christmas tree going up in flames. Groundbreaking today in Fresno on California's $68 billion high-speed rail project. While the ultimate goal is to link Los Angeles and San Francisco, Phase 1 will connect the Central Valley to Burbank. And Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda has the story.
With his signature on a ceremonial first rail, Governor Jerry Brown officially kicked off the high-speed rail project. He says with California's population growth, we can't rely only on cars.
If we get to our 45 million or beyond, and to be able to move people, you're going to need a train. It's going to be obvious.
Construction is set to begin on a 28-mile stretch from Madero to Fresno. The long-term plan is for the train to connect Los Angeles to San Francisco, but there is opposition.
High-speed rail presents their plans to us as almost done deals.
And Dave DePinto says as the train goes through the San Fernando Valley, it will have a negative impact on residential areas and on the environment.
There are multiple lawsuits pending right now. There are going to be a lot more. And what high-speed rail needs to figure out is how to enter densely populated areas and how to traverse environmentally sensitive areas.
The cost is estimated at $68 billion, but some feel it will go much higher. Representative Kevin McCarthy from the Central Valley issued a statement saying, sadly, today's groundbreaking is a political maneuver. Supporters of the railroad in Sacramento can admit their project is deeply flawed, and they won't give up on it despite the cost. Even the governor admitted he was worried about the price.
Because I wasn't quite sure where the hell we're going to get the rest of the money. But don't worry about it. We're going to get it.
And at Burbank Airport today, people flying said they would consider taking the train.
I have a bunch of friends who live up north. I would certainly take the train if it's cheaper.
Depends on the cost. If it was not that much more expensive, I'd rather fly.
I'm Carlos Granda, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
We're updating the evening's top stories next at 7:30.
Also coming up, investigators make several arrests in connection with a deadly New Year's Day shooting that left a beloved roller rink security guard dead.
And we go climbing with Caltrans. We'll show you why road crews had to scale rocky cliffs to make a busy highway safe.
live from ABC7. This is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30. Authorities are searching for a vicious robber seen here in surveillance video. I'm David Ono.
I'm Ellen Leva in for Colleen Sullivan. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7:30 p.m. Investigators believe he has struck at least 4 times at apartment complexes in Midtown since November. And during each assault, detectives say he follows a woman into the elevator, attacks her, and then takes off with her purse. Suspect is described as a Hispanic man between 20 and 30 years old, between 5 foot 6 inches and 5 feet 8 inches tall. And an Uber driver was attacked after he picked up 2 men on New Year's Eve. After dropping them off, he says the men attacked and seriously injured him. Driver Gilbert Wilburn says the 2 drunken riders held him down, choked him, and broke his jaw. Good Samaritans in the Signal Hill neighborhood rushed to his aid, scaring off the 2 riders. 2 riders were quickly found by officers, but there was no arrest because they need hard evidence of what happened. 5 suspects are behind bars tonight, accused of killing a beloved security guard who was gunned down while on the job last week. 4 of the accused are teenagers. Inland Empire reporter Leticia Waters has the story.
This is the complaint outlining the arrest of 5 men wanted in connection to a New Year's Day shooting outside this Grand Terrace roller rink. 48-year-old Richard Williamson was killed and 2 others seriously injured.
There was a lot of people at risk with the shooting that took place out in front of the establishment because there were so many people in attendance.
Maurice Martin, Ezekiel George, Laquan Trice, Prince Johnson, and Adrian Gentry, each charged with murder, attempted murder, and shooting into a crowd. The shooting leaving bullet holes in the building, a parked car, and in this big rig parked across the street.
It rocked the truck when it hit it, and I'm like, oh, that's a little too close to comfort.
Michael Marcoli witnessed the shooting shortly after the gunfire erupted. Marcoli spoke to Eyewitness News on Friday and described how Williamson, a security guard at the event, tried to protect people.
It was a very heroic move by him. There were kids everywhere, there were people everywhere, and he took the focus of the gunfire on him. So he died a hero.
Outside the rink today, it was business as usual, with the addition of a new security camera and extra lights in the parking lot. The rink's owners releasing a statement reading in part, "We will keep Big Will's family in our hearts as we hope that justice is served." The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is still investigating. They're asking anyone who was in attendance or witnessed the shooting to contact them at their We Tip hotline. That number there is 1-800-78-CRIME or 27463. Now, all 5 suspects will be in court tomorrow for arraignment. 3 of those suspects, just juveniles, expected to be charged as adults. We reached out to the Williamson family, who declined to comment about the arrest. Reporting in Grand Terrace, Leticia Waters, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A Christmas tree fire is blamed for an overnight fire in North Hollywood, causing $240,000 in damage. Happened on the 11,300 block of Delano Street. Flames raced through a house just before 4 o'clock this morning. 1 person living inside suffered a burned hand. 3 firefighters are hospitalized with minor burns. Mayor Eric Garcetti held a press conference to remind people about their options for removing Christmas trees safely.
You can cut up your tree right now, as soon as you hear this, and put it in your green bin. Or when your green bin is picked up, put it next to the green bin, and our Bureau of Sanitation will pick up the tree for you at your home.
It took firefighters 30 minutes to knock down the fire. Investigators blame the fire on an electrical problem involving the Christmas tree. Fire displaced 4 residents.
A big day in Washington as the new Congress convened under the Capitol Dome. It marks the first time in 8 years Republicans have controlled both houses, setting up for some major clashes with the Democratic White House. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
A new era of divided government begins today in Washington.
Mr. McConnell of Kentucky.
Republicans now control the House and Senate, setting up inevitable showdowns with President Obama. John Boehner was once again elected House Speaker. But not without drama. A dozen of his fellow Republicans revolted, backing other candidates. Boehner now controls the largest Republican majority in more than 80 years, but he faces significant challenges from some conservatives.
He is still going to have to assuage a lot of the Tea Party caucus members.
Mitch McConnell takes over as Senate Majority Leader.
We recognize the enormity of the task before us.
We know a lot of hard work awaits.
And he has an aggressive agenda, approving the controversial Keystone XL pipeline, tax reform, and reversing President Obama's executive actions on immigration.
Mitch McConnell wants to start hitting some singles and doubles, and he's doing, I think, a pretty savvy thing in saying, look, the American people are putting us on probation. They're giving us a tryout here. We have to deliver.
The White House said today that President Obama recognizes an opportunity for Democrats and Republicans to work together.
The key to doing that is not the frequency of conversations, but more the willingness from people on both sides to try to find common ground.
But there will, of course, be meetings. President Obama invited the top congressional leaders to the White House next week to begin working on a shared agenda. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
President Obama is pledging to stand with Mexico against the increase in violence and the drug cartels amid concern over the unsolved kidnapping of 43 Mexican college students last year. Today, the president met with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto at the White House. Some groups had urged President Obama to press Mexico to take the case more seriously. During their meeting, President Peña Nieto also applauded President Obama's move to restore diplomatic relations with Cuba after decades of frozen relations.
Political leaders, both past and present, gathered in New York City today to pay their final respects to former New York Governor Mario Cuomo. A funeral was held at a Manhattan church. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton were in attendance, as was current New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Governor Andrew Cuomo promised his father that he'd carry on the legacy.
Pop, you taught us well. You inspired us. We know what we have to do, and we will do it. We will make this state a better state.
He went on to say Mario Cuomo's politics was a personal belief system. It was who he was rather than what he did.
2 men are in custody facing charges of shooting 2 plainclothes New York City police officers. This is security video of one of the suspects. Police say 23-year-old Jason Polanco is caught on camera shooting at officers in the street as they chased him following a grocery store robbery. Both officers were wounded. They're in stable condition. A .44 Magnum pistol was recovered from the scene. Authorities arrested Polanco, who faces attempted murder and robbery charges. The other suspect, 28-year-old Joshua Kemp, is charged with robbery.
Calling himself a fallen human being, the former governor of Virginia apologized after being sentenced today for corruption.
Some of the judgments that I have made during the course of my governorship have hurt myself, my family, and my beloved people of Virginia, and for that I am deeply, deeply sorry.
Bob McDonald was sentenced to 2 years in prison. However, he maintains that he didn't violate his oath of office and plans to appeal. McDonald and his wife accepted lavish gifts in exchange for promoting a dietary supplement company.
You could call it a controlled rock slide, Caltrans dislodging boulders above PCH before they tumble down on their own.
And as Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin finds out, it's part of the ongoing effort to reopen a stretch of PCH shut down during last month's storms.
They strap into their climbing ropes and ascend this steep hillside that overlooks the Pacific Ocean. But what might seem like a recreational outing is actually serious business.
Our job here is to keep the traveling public safe.
Alan Sharon is one of 10 Caltrans workers who spent the afternoon dislodging loose boulders from this hillside near Point Magoo. The idea is to knock them loose before Mother Nature sends them raining down onto the PCH.
We've got the big dig bars and we've got hand tools, and pretty much if we get to a rock and it moves, we remove it.
It's all part of the state's ongoing efforts to reopen a 9-mile stretch of the PCH that's been closed ever since severe storms last month sent mud, rocks, and debris spilling onto the highway. The closure is in effect from Yerba Buena Road in Camarillo all the way to Las Posas Road west of Malibu.
We know with the closure we have here and all the work that's going on, and also the fact that this is also a closed highway, it's a good time to get this work done.
All that loose rock is only part of the problem. Caltrans crews still need to make repairs to this stretch of the PCH. Then they need to get rid of all that mud.
With the heavy storms we had a lot of water, a lot of material coming through here.
Caltrans spokesman Patrick Chandler says the agency needs to follow strict environmental regulations when it comes to removing debris from the roadway, which can create delays. But if the weather continues to cooperate, Chandler says this stretch of the PCH should reopen by the end of the month. Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
When we return, new legal troubles for actor Bill Cosby.
Also, character from Captain America gets her own TV show. We'll talk to the star of Marvel's Agent Carter.
Normally in downtown Los Angeles, our high is 68 this time of year. We're still at 66 at 7:40 p.m. I will tell you how long the warm weather lasts. Coming up in that 7 day.
More legal problems for comedian Bill Cosby. 2 Florida women accusing him of sexual assault in the 1970s have joined a defamation lawsuit. The original lawsuit was filed last month. The amended federal complaint was filed yesterday in Massachusetts, near where Cosby has a home. The new plaintiffs contend Cosby branded them as liars through statements by his representatives. While there's been no immediate comment from Cosby, his publicist said earlier that he expected to win the original lawsuit.
A character from the Marvel world gets her own show tonight. Actress Haley Atwell, who's been in both Captain America movies and has appeared in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is now the star of ABC's Agent Carter. Our entertainment guru, George Pinocchio, reports.
You know, there's a difference between being an independent woman and a spinster.
Is it the shoes?
Haley Atwell returns to her role as Peggy Carter, a single woman making her way in 1940s America.
It picks up in 1946, and we see a woman who is capable just as much as the men, but has been demoted to being making coffee and taking orders for lunch, and she finds herself frustrated and bored. And it's really about the adventures that she goes on to try and follow her destiny. You know how busy the office keeps me?
Peg, you work at the phone company. It ain't life and death.
Darling, you have no idea.
Peggy actually works for the covert SSR, Strategic Scientific Reserve, where she's quite crafty.
She's not aggressive for the sake of it. She's not mean-hearted. She's not cruel. She's not a bully. She believes very strongly in what is right and in doing one's duty. And that kind of comes across in the way that she interacts with the good guys and the bad guys.
But there's a strength of character there.
Absolutely. There's a fighting spirit to her. She won't back down.
Ground beans over there, Carter? This is fuel agents only.
It's okay, Chief. Let her stay. Maybe she'll learn something.
Oh, thank you, Agent. I already have. It's a very strong ensemble of characters, both ones that you love to hate and ones that you have an instant affection for, ones that provide comic relief, others that are great eye candy. If you're just flicking through the channels, you'll come across something that's visually stunning and very beautiful to watch. It's film noir. It looks like 4 films in 8-hour episodes.
And you will see a double dose of Marvel's Agent Carter tonight at 8 and 9 o'clock, followed by a new episode of Forever on ABC7.
Looking for a healthy protein? Consider insects.
It's the latest craze in health food, and up next, the results of Consumer Reports taste test. of the new product.
And SpaceX calls off its flight to the International Space Station. We'll show you why. It's going to take a bit longer to get supplies to the 6 astronauts on the International Space Station.
And the countdown has aborted for this morning.
Well, just a minute ago this morning, a steering mechanism in the SpaceX rocket malfunctioned, forcing the launch to abort. Rocket is supposed to deliver groceries and belated Christmas presents.
Aww.
SpaceX will also try to land its main booster on a platform in the ocean. The next possible launch is Friday.
They're still waiting for Christmas
I know,
up there.
poor guys.
They get to see from space. That's pretty cool right there.
Yeah.
I'll take that. But speaking of seeing some cool things, we would love to see that.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? See what it did with the temperatures?
No.
Because we love some cool weather. Because it's not going to be cool. All right. Temperatures today, we're actually near 90 degrees in some spots there. Thank you. I'll take that. All right. Almanac. 84 was our high in downtown L.A., but that was actually not the warmest that we saw. Here's some records that were broken. 85, UCLA, Camarillo. Camarillo actually tied a record, but Burbank broke it 83, 82, Santa Barbara and Santa Maria. It was 88 in Santa Ana. And we're looking for more weather like that tomorrow. Maybe not quite as warm, but we're going to get close. 70 right now still in Van Nuys. That is a current temperature. And I just want to point something out. Normally, we're around 68 in L.A. for a high. It is 66 still right now. So temperatures are way above average by about 20 degrees today. And again, not quite that warm tomorrow, but we're going to get pretty warm into the 80s in many spots tomorrow. 42 in Wrightwood right now, 51 Palmdale, and about freezing at Big Bear. So why are we so warm? What is going on right now? Well, we have a big ridge of high pressure over us. You see the clear skies over the area now. Look off in the west coast, and this arc right here is that ridge. In the meantime, as a result of that, we have this dip in the jet stream over portions of the central part of the country, around the plains, all the way through into the Midwest and the Northeast. What does that mean for them? Not just cold temperatures, but the wind chills are going to be dipping down in places like the Dakotas tonight, where there's a wind chill warning. Minus 40 to minus 50 is how it's going to feel when the winds kick in over there. For us, high pressure stays around for at least another day or two, and that means another day or two of warmer weather. Check it out Wednesday here. See this arc right there? That is that ridge staying right over the west coast. And then as we go to Thursday, it starts to weaken. Watch how this arc sort of starts flattening out Thursday afternoon and into Friday. That's the ridge weakening, and that means that flow will start to turn a little bit more onshore. We'll start to see things cool down a little bit. But 2 more days of temperatures either in the 70s or even into the lower 80s for tomorrow at least, and lows above average as well. Look at that. 51 Anaheim, 50 Lake Elsinore, Big Bear 26, not bad there. It's actually closer to average, but 55 in Los Angeles is about 8 degrees above average. And then highs tomorrow way above average, about, well, 13, 14 degrees above average or so in the area. LA's going about 80 degrees, 80 in Simi Valley, 83 in Fillmore. Look at that Ojai, 84 for you tomorrow. Mid-60s up in the Antelope Valley. You know, you like it, but it's January. We need some snow. We need some rain. We'd love to have some. We don't have any, unfortunately, in the extended forecast. Here's the 7-day. Enjoy it while it lasts here, I guess, and take a few clouds here as we go through the rest of the week from Thursday on. But the temperatures are above average. 68 is right there at average, so we're not seeing temperatures dip below it all throughout the next week. Valley's IE, 82 tomorrow, 78 on Thursday, and then you're finally getting into the 60s for the weekend. The beach, really nice, pleasant, 75. Just a few high clouds around the area tomorrow. No real low clouds until after Wednesday. Temperatures into the 60s for the weekend. Quick look at the mountains. Unfortunately, some fair, mild stuff here for the weather the next few days, into the 40s finally on Sunday. And in the high desert, you're in the 60s all throughout that 7-day. That's it for me. Back to you guys today.
Thanks, Jonathan. 2 years ago, baseball writers didn't find even one player worthy of the Hall of Fame. Today, 4 inductees were announced, and the last time that happened was 60 years ago. The third time was the charm for the multi-talented Craig Biggio, who played 3 positions during a 20-year career with the Houston Astros. He made the Hall in his 3rd try after missing out last year by just 2 votes. The other 3 inductees were all pitchers, including John Smoltz, who was an all-star as both a starting pitcher and reliever with the Braves. Former USC star Randy Johnson got the most votes today. He was named on more than 97% of the ballots. The 6'10" Johnson was a 5-time Cy Young Award winner. And Pedro Martinez was 11 inches shorter than Johnson. The Dodgers traded him because of his height. That's pretty painful. The 8-time All-Star said there's a reason he played the game with integrity.
My mom and dad deserve all the credit. My mom and dad had to do so much to raise all 6 kids that we were, with less than $20 a month. For all the fans out there that opened their arms to embrace every one of us, coming from a third world country, and treating us so well, giving us so many opportunities. Thank you so much.
Martinez's former Dodger teammate, Mike Piazza, was named on nearly 70% of the ballots. He needed 75% to make it, maybe next year. And we're just 6 days away from college football's championship game in Arlington, Texas. Oregon coach Mike Helfrich, who has a reputation as being an offensive genius, was asked about other teams stealing some of his more creative plays.
We steal stuff too. I mean, we're equal opportunity thieves.
At least he's honest. Don't forget, on January 12th, the first ever college football playoff will be decided when Ohio State and Oregon square off. You can catch the game on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
Well, for centuries, insects have been included in traditional dishes around the world. Latin Americans eat cicadas, ants, and even tarantulas. And South Africans put bugs in their porridge.
Imagine eating a tarantula.
No.
And we all know that Mexican mezcal lacks a certain something without that worm. So food coach Lori Corbin has the Consumer Reports taste test on a new food craze, insect-laden products marketed in the U.S.
When we see someone eating bugs, it's usually on a reality TV show.
You're really going to have to eat these giant Madagascar hissing cockroaches and this blood salsa filled with live maggots.
New food companies are hoping Americans can overcome the ick factor, introducing cookies and snack bars made with cricket flour. This YouTube video promotes the Chapul bar.
We thaw them out, we rinse them, we throw them on the sheets, and then we cook them and mill them down to flour that goes into our energy bar.
The bars each contain up to 40 dried ground crickets. According to the bar manufacturers, cricket flour has 2 times more protein than beef and 15% more iron than spinach. In a blind test, Consumer Reports food experts answered the all-important question, how does it taste? They sampled 6 snack bars from 2 manufacturers as well as some cookies. Could they detect any traces of insect?
Did anyone get any off notes in this bar?
No. I didn't get any.
Nothing unusual in the taste?
No.
Okay. For the most part, the bars had pretty simple, straightforward ingredient listings with things like fruits, nuts, honey, flax, and of course, crickets.
As for the cookies, they tasted more of coconut than crickets. Consumer Reports advises that because crickets are closely related to shrimp, people with shellfish allergies should avoid products containing cricket flour. Lori Corbin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Yum.
Yeah, can't wait.
More news straight ahead here at 7:30.
And ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7, sex, drugs, and illicit pills. Was a liquor store owner dishing out more than booze? What police are saying tonight. Plus a parking ticket with a nasty surprise. Is it racist retribution? We'll have these stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
A time capsule found in Boston, Massachusetts is finally opened. It shows us slivers of life from more than 2 centuries ago. Officials at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston began revealing the items inside a time capsule that dates back to 1795. The copper box was discovered last month at the State House. Old coins, newspapers, and a metal plate thought to be owned by Paul Revere were inside. Experts believe Samuel Adams and other Revolutionary War figures created this capsule.
And finally tonight, some adorable video of a panda playing in the snow. This is Panda Bao Bao just loving the snow in Washington, D.C. Check him out. This video was posted on the Smithsonian National Zoo's Facebook page. Zoo officials say this is the first time the 16-month-old panda cub got to play in the snow. Snow blanketed the nation's capital today, so the zoo was closed to the public. But she didn't seem to mind tumbling down a snowy slope and pouncing on her mother. She's so cute.
It's funny, they roll up in like a little ball and start just rolling on down the hill.
Fun.
That is really cute. Well, thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law and Order SVU is coming up next on LA56.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com.
And remember, you can get your news 24 hours a day by following us on Facebook and Twitter and by downloading our ABC7 apps. Have a good night.
Good night.